You are entering the India Today studio, presented by Vizzy.
After months of worsening pollution, air crisis now reaches Parliament. Big India Today impact. Coverage that couldn't be ignored. After 10 days of Sansad showdown, health crisis makes it to House agenda. Pollution debate in Parliament. That is our top focus on 5 Live.
Well, it was a winter session in Delhi city that began. The Parliament began the winter session amid air quality index that hovered around 350 plus in the very poor, very often in the severe category. But our members of Parliament weren't discussing the issue of dirty, toxic, poisonous air. It's India Today's relentless coverage that has forced right now the opposition to rake this matter up. In 0 hour today, the Lok Sabha leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, spoke about it, also said there will be unity on this matter and that the opposition is willing to work with the government on this issue. Well, it remains to be seen if this is taken up by the Business Advisory Committee or not and when this discussion takes place, but at least the conversation has started. It continues to be our top focus story right here on 5 Live. I'm Sneha Moradani. Let's begin this edition with the headlines. Game over for Goa club killers Luthra brothers. Now they've been brought to Bangkok. En route, their deputation to India embassy to issue travel certificate after their passport was suspended. After the government's crackdown on Indigo, the airline has now appointed a civil aviation advisor to probe the mess. This comes after the DGCA terminated 4 flight operations inspectors over the airline's recent spate of flight cancellations. This is the second smoking showdown in Sansad in 2 days after Anurag Thakur accused a Trinamool Congress MP of using an e-cigarette in the house. Another TMC MP, Shaugata Roy, confronted by BJP MPs for smoking. Shaugata stays defiant. Anurag Thakur rakes up Deepam controversy in Lok Sabha, accuses the DMK of anti-Hindu bias. Over 50 judges condemned the impeachment motion against the Deepam judge. India Today's big impact. Rahul Gandhi demands a discussion on air pollution. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju opens the door to a pollution debate. No end to the power tussle in Karnataka even after 2 breakfast meetings to diffuse tensions. A day after Chief Minister Siddharaya held dinner meeting with the Ahinda legislators, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar convened a parallel dinner meeting with his close aides and more than 50 MLAs. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah facing criticism over his air travel expense. Well, the newly released government records reveal that the state spent more than 47 crore rupees on his helicopter and special aircraft travel between 2023 and 2025. Expelled Congress MLA Rahul Kutatil, who had been missing for 14 days after being booked in a rape case, reappeared on Thursday to cast his vote in the local body elections in Palakkad. Messi is hours away from setting off a football frenzy across India with a 3-day 4-city spectacle. From Kolkata's massive preparations, a towering 70-foot statue in his honor, high-voltage matches, charity galas and a meeting with Prime Minister Modi lined up. Superstar Rajinikanth turned 75. Tamil cinema's biggest icon, greeted by political leaders, film legends and fans across the world on his birthday. Well, after weeks of choking air, rising public anger, and India Today's relentless coverage, the pollution crisis has finally pushed its way in the Parliament's winter session. After 10 days of the Sansad in session, 10 long days, air pollution has finally become a topic of discussion. India Today has been pushing, questioning, campaigning, insisting that those in power address an issue affecting millions every single day. This relentless coverage has forced change makers to address the crisis, which is long overdue. Here's more.
After weeks of breathing toxic air and after repeated calls for action
on the air quality, prompting dark jokes
and sustained coverage that simply could not be ignored,
in the world,
India Today's sustained campaign on air pollution has now forced a debate at the highest level. The issue has finally found its place in the winter session. Leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, demanded an urgent discussion in the House, urging political unity to address what he called a national health emergency.
Most of our cities, major cities, are living under a blanket of poisonous air. House would agree that air pollution, the damage it is doing to our people, is something that we would like to cooperate on. I think it's important that the government develops a plan for how to get rid of air pollution in our cities.
Union Minister Kiren Rijiju acknowledged that the government is ready for a full debate, assuring that the Parliament will take up the worsening pollution crisis.
Government from the day one had made our position very clear that on all important matters, government is ready to discuss and also to find out solutions, taking along the suggestions from all the members, including the principal opposition party led by Rahul Gandhi ji.
While the discussion has been triggered, the House will only pick up the issue of air pollution for debate if the Lok Sabha's Business Advisory Committee now schedules time for the same. Remember, India Today had incessantly urged change makers to pick up issues directly affecting millions of citizens.
Protests demanding clean air are happening barely a kilometer away from the Parliament. But inside the Parliament, not a single minute has been allocated to discuss an issue as important as this. Citizens today on the streets are asking, our kids are dying earlier. They have shortened lifespans, ailments. Why hasn't this become a national air emergency just yet?
When it comes to Delhi's dirty air, breathing shouldn't be a privilege is what placard says. A placard reads there, "Save our planet." Welcome to Delhi NCR AQI at 500 plus. This is only a protest, but again and rightfully so, it's putting the spotlight on a very important issue, a health issue that affects everyone.
The eyes of the nation are now on its netas, but rest assured that we will ensure that our lawmakers don't evade their responsibility to give us breathable air. With Sneha Moradani and Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, it really is a matter of relief, really, for all of us that finally there could be a possible discussion on this entire matter. Aishwarya is getting in more details from Parliament House, covering that big issue today where in 0 hour Rahul Gandhi raised it. Sonal has also been covering this story, relentlessly asking the question every single day on why is this matter not being taken up in Parliament. The session had started around about 10 days ago, but this wasn't picked up in spite of pressure from the opposition. Aishwarya, to you first. Right now in 0 hour, this matter was raised, and the sense from Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition, was that they are willing to work with the government on this one. He said there will be political unity. Talk to us about the way forward. I understand that the BAC, the Business Advisory Committee, eventually would decide when this can be taken up, and what are you picking up? Is it something that's going to find place in the BAC next week? Can we expect a longish sort of a discussion on this? What are you learning?
Well, Sneha, we will see that it's the government which actually also now wants to speak about it, because now they are ready with the plan. They want to tell the people what exactly they are doing, because they are also understanding that this is something, one of the major poll planks on the back of which after 27 long years, it was the BJP which has come back to power in the national capital. So they now have a plan. They are also looking at almost the next 1 year, because they believe this is not a magic wand, and they also don't have a magic wand through which we can see, just in the next 3 to 4 months, the pollution problem being solved. They will have to have a short-term plan, a medium-term plan and a long-term plan. At the moment, the government is working on both, the central government as well as the Delhi government. So if they speak on the floor of the parliament, this indeed will give them also an opportunity to speak about it and to tell the world what exactly they are doing, and to tell the citizens how they are looking at tackling the pollution problem.
And finding solutions, most importantly, isn't it? Be with us, Ashwarya. Coming back to you, Sonal is also joining in. Sonal, it's a matter of relief, I would say. Der aaye, durust aaye, itne din ho gaye. Finally, they decide to take this issue up. That too in 0 hour. It was a few moments of Rahul Gandhi talking about it, but eventually we'll see on how many hours the BSC allocates to this discussion, and then what really comes out of it, because solutions is what we need, isn't it?
You're right, Sneha, but I differ slightly in what you're saying at the moment. I think today is a classic day of what we can say 1 step forward and 10 steps back. Yes, the
parliament...
Be with
us, Sonal. In fact, I'm being told we have some news just coming in at this point in time. I understand that the Civil Aviation Minister...
3% decrease in the airfares when you consider the consumer price index also. So if you compare with US or China, US it has decreased at 23%, China 34%, but India, the decrease has been up to 43% in relative terms when you compare with the consumer price index and the inflation also that has happened. So if you compare your own tariffs from previous years, previous decades, we have been maintaining a certain sort of level which is still affordable for the people. But in those terms also, when do you observe this airfares rise? It is not that every day they are rising, you see an increase in the fares. When these festive seasons are there, when there is a specific demand that originates in this location for most people to travel, and exactly the examples were also taken, Kerala during Onam, during Christmas, during that specific period, most of the people who are working in the Gulf area, they all want to come back and visit their families in that time. There is a specific season that you see that there is a huge capacity that is going to be there, and those are the routes, specific routes also you can see that this is where the airfares are rising because of the demand that originates. And then you see in the North India, sometimes during the Durga Puja, the Calcutta routes are on a surge. During Diwali area, the whole northern sector, that is on a rise. And also during Chhat Puja, whatever is going to Bihar, that is on a rise. These are all specific seasons. It is not that I can cap a fare for the entire season, entire year to a certain sector, because there are still, this is why market demand and market supply is very, very important for us to understand. They kind of play in such a way that they regulate the fares on its own. But when we observe, because we also know that there are seasons, because we also know there are capacity constraints in those seasons, we have reacted accordingly. When this Kerala situation observed, and after me becoming the minister also, this was exactly in September of 24, when the Kerala, the Gulf and the Kerala routes, when we observed that, see, what else can we do? What else can we do in this time so that we can facilitate for the people who want to travel and can keep the fares at a very adjustable price? Then we added capacity. We have spoken to the airlines well in advance. We have said this is a situation which is happening every year. Why don't we provide the more capacity in this region so that more people can travel? This is exactly what we have done in that time. More flights which were not operating or non-viable routes across the country, they were taken out. They were brought into this specific sector so that can create, that can facilitate for the demand that it was created. And on top of Onam, during this Kumbh Mela also, everyone wanted to travel to Prayagraj. So we have increased the flights that are going to Prayagraj. So not only capping the fare, but the capacity needs to be augmented. That is the real solution when you are seeing that the fares are rising. Because there is demand there. It is not that you want to send that single passenger in a very adjustable price. You want to send 10 passengers to that place during that specific time. So capacity augmentation is something which is very much required, and we have done that. Kerala during the Onam, and Diwali during Diwali also we have done recently in October 25. Prayagraj Kumbh Mela in Jan 25. So we have worked out this solution when we speak with the airlines before and consider the festive season and increase the capacity. And also, madam, we have to understand what goes into these airfares. I have talked about what some of the measures that we have taken, and also airfares is not a single entity. There are different charges that go into the airfare, and one of the most important one is the aircraft fuel. ATF goes up to 40%, 40 to 45% of the ticket price that you pay is because of the ATF. And the way ATF is there in the country, the state taxes the ATF. And there are multiple states who have brought it below 5%. We are very thankful to them. There are 26 states and union territories which have brought it down because they understand that even if you lose a small revenue in this taxation for the ATF, the kind of economic growth that it creates, the kind of growth aviation network creates for other industries is very, very important, and it is with that idea that it was being done. But there are some states which still have it at a very high percentage, and it is multiple times. Our predecessor Scindia ji is also here. He has written and spoken on this many times and written to chief ministers, and I have also taken that responsibility. I have written to chief ministers whenever I get the opportunity to meet them. I have spoken to them on this very specific issue to please bring down the ATF, because if you bring it down, then definitely that also helps the passenger and the cost that it takes. And we have done it with Bihar also. Bihar used to have 29%, but in June 25 they have responded and they have brought it below 4%. And there is one state, Tamil Nadu also, Manikamji is here. So I will take this opportunity through this discussion also to encourage the state government to bring it down as much as possible, not 4%, but bring it down to 1%, so that this benefit of the taxation also is being extended to the passenger at the end. And now this is the ATF. And when it comes to the DGCA measures, DGCA is also a very important regulator for us. It also looks after the safety. It also looked after the airlines and their operations. Now there is a tariff sheet which is being done by the airlines to see how are we going to charge. The tariff sheet mentions the minimum fare for a certain route, maximum fare for a certain route, and they have this bucket system where through buckets they see how many seats are going to be allocated at a certain price. Not many would be knowing about this, but whenever you go to the website and you purchase a ticket, there is a clear tariff sheet that is mentioned there. But here the airlines also used to be doing their own chalaki. What they used to do, tariff sheet, because according to the law, they have to do it prominently somewhere, they have to display the tariff sheet. But we were also doing our own monitoring. We were checking where is the tariff sheet, but we used to go to the web page and it used to take ages to look at it, where the tariff sheet it is right at the bottom, and even the letters with which it was written was only, you can see it only if you use a binoculars. It was at that situation. Then we said this is not the purpose of through which the law has been kept. Then we have updated them, they have instructed them that whenever they open, the tariff sheet should be seen right in the front in big letters so that every passenger can see it. We have brought that change. We have monitored that change. Now the tariff sheet is thoroughly displayed. But not only tariff sheet. Now earlier there was the rule that the tariff sheet, there was a small clause which gave an advantage to the airlines that every day they can change the tariff sheet. ऐसा होगा तो कैसे होगा? आज का टैरिफ शीट आज का बन रहा है, आज का टिकट हमने ले लिया, कल का टैरिफ शीट कल का बन रहा है, तो again it's not serving the purpose. Then we changed the clause. Then we changed the rule that was giving that clause, that measure, and we said you won't change it every day. You won't change it every 24 hours. You will only change it every month, so that once the passenger sees at the head of the month, first week of the month, they have to give us the tariff sheet saying in that sector, in this month, how much are you going to charge, how many bucket charges you have. So everything the passenger should know on what charges it will be there. So we have changed it to 1 month. That is also a facility that the passenger will have. I would encourage more passengers to look into this tariff sheet, to look at how the pricing is done, what is the minimum bucket, what is the maximum bucket. And this we have done it last year itself, and we have observing some changes because it improves the monitoring mechanism that we have on these airlines and their tariff sheets. And also on top of this, there is a tariff monitoring unit that we have created in DGCA. And the purpose of this specifically is to look into what the pricing is and how the airfares are fixed. Are they following the tariff sheet or not? Are there abnormal situations that are being created? So specifically just for tariffs, we have created a tariff monitoring unit, and it has been strengthened time and again through various measures. And earlier, when it started with around 50 routes. But now we have expanded to 78 routes. We are also taking international sectors also right now to understand where and how these tariff fares are being changed and how they are being done. And the tariff monitoring unit, which is going to be a very important unit for us to monitor these tariffs, we are bringing in more IT tools. We are bringing in more technology so that the power at TMU increases and they can analyze the fares in a very tech-based manner using the IT tools also to analyze. So that is one thing that we have done, and we are also improving the capacity with which TMU works, not only in the routes that are being covered, and also in the number of people that you are doing it. So this is one. And then the most important thing in civil aviation sector in the last 10 years, this is a success story that not only me, who is part of this government, can talk about. Everyone on both sides, all across this house, they can all speak about it, that the UDAN scheme was one of the most successful scheme, not only for the country, but for people across the world that we can showcase to. UDAN scheme has made democratized air travel in the country. The way we have brought inclusiveness in civil aviation is because of the UDAN scheme. The number of unserved and underserved airports in the country, there was a big number. And there was a challenge for us because there were these airlines who were looking at commercial interests. Naturally, the airlines would look at viable routes to function. And that is the most metro routes or the tier 2 to metro routes. But we have been creating airports across the country, especially in the Northeast, in our union territories, where they might be not viable to function, but still they need air connectivity. People were aspiring to have air connectivity in the country. So that was when our Honorable Prime Minister came up with this flagship scheme of UDAN, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, and it has done wonders to civil aviation sector in this country. Whatever we experience, we have gone through different places now where people would have not ever thought that they would have an airport at that location. Because of the UDAN scheme, we were able to start an airport there. Because of UDAN scheme, we were able to start operations there. Today, almost 1,57 lakh people have availed the benefit of UDAN. More than 3,26,000 routes have taken over in UDAN. More than 693 routes, specific routes which were not there before, because of UDAN scheme we have started. But there are certain limitations in UDAN. The UDAN scheme also is not like just to cater for the viability or just to start new connections. UDAN scheme is supposed to act like a spark. Wherever there is a route which is not functional, we wanted to start the route, bring in the viability, bring in people, attach them to aviation, attach them to air travel, and let the private sector take its place. It is with this idea that the UDAN was brought in, and it was envisioned for 10 years. But I can tell you right now, madam, in the last budget, Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji, understanding the importance of this specific UDAN scheme, because like I told, it is only for 10 years. So we were on the verge of completion of the UDAN scheme, but she has made the provision that UDAN is going to be expanded for 10 more years. This is a great thing for our civil aviation as we are trying to grow more and more in the next few years. Not only expansion for the next 10 years, but she has specifically mentioned that 120 new destinations are going to be covered. That is the strength that civil aviation has in this country. 120 new destinations. How many we have today? 164 airports. 164 is a vast network. But look at the capacity of the country. We are not stopping here. If we want to achieve Viksit Bharat, we have to connect each and every location as much as possible with civil aviation. In the next 10 years, we are going to do 120 destinations, and UDAN is going to do. And what is the biggest benefit UDAN has done to the country? I've talked about many of them. But one of the biggest one is that new airlines have come in. New airlines, which many of you, because they operate in very specific sectors, you might not see them. Star Air is there, Fly 91 is there, India One is there. They might have very small operations. They might have a 9-seater or a 19-seater, but they are the ones who are connecting the tier 3 cities. They are the ones who are connecting the remotest parts. You would have never seen these kind of airlines come into the country. But it is because of UDAN. They found a way to come in. Is it not what we want? This is exactly what we want. More airlines to come in. More competition to be there in the country. And UDAN is specifically looking into that. Now, in the last 10 years, if we can see so much success in UDAN, with modifications on the Udan, which is going to facilitate for more people to come in, more competition to be there, more routes being established and more connectivity being established. Imagine the kind of growth we can see with the new expanded Udan in the next 10 years. Definitely, I see the vision that there are going to be more and more airlines coming in the future. I can assure the House that there will be more and more airlines with the Udan scheme also, that it's going to come. I've talked about the Tier 2 city connections and Tier 3 city connections through Udan, madam, and that we are going to expand. And also in this last 18 months of me being the minister, we have given NOC to 3 new airlines also. And 2 new airlines have also applied for NOC. So this is a continuous activity. We are engaging with the stakeholders. We are engaging with the market. We are creating that aspiration that if you want to be in this sector, this is the time that you want to start a new airline, because the demand is continuously growing. This is the approach of the government also, that we need more airlines. And not only this, I would also like the people here to understand the real bottleneck here. Airports we are creating. Airlines, we have the Udan scheme where we are encouraging, we are giving the viability and all that. Availability of the aircrafts is the serious issue that we all need to understand. There are only certain players across the world who are making these aircrafts. If I have a lot of money to buy aircrafts, if I go sit today that I'm going to start an airline today, I have the unlimited amount of money for me and I want to buy 100 or 200 aircrafts. I can't have this 100, 200 aircrafts right here, right now, today. Because the manufacturing at which it is going comes at a pace. Every month, there are certain factories that they have, there are certain assembly lines that they have. They can only, the throughput of these shops are only that much. And they are not only supplying for India, they are supplying for across the world. There is a huge demand in Gulf. There is a huge demand in Asia-Pacific region, and everyone is having to wait for this. India is also waiting. How many orders do we have? 1,700 orders. 1,700 orders pending with Airbus, pending with Boeing, pending with other players. Once we get this, if let us say these 1,700 orders, which our airlines are doing it today, if they all come into our sector, then definitely it is going to benefit the passengers. But the bottleneck is not within the country or with the government or with the airlines. It is the availability of these airlines. We have recognized that. And that is exactly why this government has taken a stance that we are not going to only wait for these aircrafts to be built across. We are going to create a program where the aircrafts can be built in the country. We should have a made in India aircraft also, and that is the vision with which this government is moving. There is a Russian Sukhoi SJ-100, which is a regional aircraft. We are talking with them. HAL is engaging with them. They have gone into MOU. They are going to get the technology here so we can build the plane here. Embraer is a very good plane, very efficient plane. We are seeing Star Air, which is operating on Embraer, giving good connectivity to these Tier 2 cities. They are also trying to increase increase their operations. We are talking with Embraer. We are telling them, please come to India and manufacture your shop here so that we can manufacture the aircrafts here. If you have 1,700, demand for 1,700 aircrafts in the future, and if you can get the companies to come and build in this own country, then imagine how much easier it is going to be for people who are airline operators here to get the aircrafts. We can have aircrafts being done here in this facility also being extended. And another type of cost, because these airlines, they run on very thin margins. That also we need to understand. And what are the challenges they face? They faced COVID. COVID was a time nobody was traveling, but they were there surviving. They were there paying salaries to their people. They've all gone through it, even though there was no single flight operating in certain days because of the lockdown. That is a phase that all the airlines had to pass through. And there are high costs of leasing. It is not that today I have the money and I'm buying a plane. There is a different strategy, financial strategy the airlines are using, not only in India, but across the world. They do leasing. Leasing is where I just rent the plane from someone else who has bought the plane, use it for a certain period of time, and I give it back to him. And this is the common strategy that you're observing in all the airlines. At one point of time, maybe 2 decades or 3 decades, 60 to 70% of them were being owned by the airlines and 30% were being done on leasing basis. Now today,
all right, in lower house, in fact, he's heard from the Civil Aviation Minister listing out a series of things that the government has done, to improve air connectivity, and also talking about the fact that the states can step in to, in fact, cut down the hike in airfares that we have seen over a period of time. We will be getting you more on that story. Of course, pollution continues to be our top focus. It's time for a quick commercial break here.
रक्षा के लिए और ये आपकी रक्षा के लिए।
अरे ये क्या है?
ये आपकी रक्षा के लिए और ये घर की रक्षा के लिए।
न जले न पिघले, घर घर को सेफ बनाएं। अपार अणुशक्ति फायर प्रोटेक्ट वायर।
For 5 decades, India today has been the mirror and the map of a changing nation. Chronicled India's upheavals, triumphs and transformations. This December, on its 50th anniversary, India Today brings you a special collector's edition that revisits the defining moments that shaped modern India. 5 decades, one story. The remaking of India. On stands this December.
So all over Karnataka, whenever Congress government will be in the position, all prisons are just like a bar, dance bar, drug, mobile, everything available. So we will discuss in next week. We will move the adjournment motion. We will discuss about the law and order of in Karnataka, what happening in the rapes in Karnataka and the jail position.
BJP's government also, many times it has happened. We have debated about what happened when Shashikala was there. So many issues came, remember that? When she was in the jail. So many issues happened that period. Who are the chief minister then? They should not do politics out of all these things. Everybody should come together, see that inside the jail no illegal activities takes place and nobody can get a luxury there after being punished and be there in the jail.
There is a sense that this sector has become a duopoly. 60-65% market share Indico ka, 25-30% Air India Vistara, and they are using this to squeeze the consumer. We saw it during Kumbh Mela also. Suddenly, flight fares to Prayagraj doubled overnight. That the market itself now, consumer is last. Today you are saying, I care about the consumer. Airlines don't care about the consumer because a passenger has no choice today. Do you accept that somewhere that is something you are going to have to look at? How do you end these monopolies and duopolies that you have created? Rahul Gandhi ने कहा कि ये सब कुछ जो हो रहा है monopolies की वजह से हुआ है. How will you respond?
I don't know how much economics he understands around civil aviation, but one thing that we need to clarify here is that this is not a created situation by any kind of government. The fact that we have deregulated the fares, and when have we deregulated the fares? Any idea, Rajdeep ji? 1994 Corporation Act, Air Corporations Act has been repealed so that the deregulation comes into effect. There are airlines who can enter freely, they can understand the market, and the market dynamics of supply and demand can play its own role. And it is from then the markets have been deregularized, and this is a practice which is followed internationally. And what we are trying to do is encourage more airlines to come into the picture. You say that, do I encourage monopoly or duopoly? Definitely not. Not because this incident has happened now. I've been talking about this for the past 1 year. Look at the demand of civil aviation in the country today. There are 5 lakh people traveling every day by civil aviation, air travel in the country, which is nowhere in the world except for 2 other countries. That is the kind of demand that we have set today. And when you have this kind of demand, we want more players to come in. I have clearly said we need 5 airlines with at least 100 aircrafts each for one airline. And from the government, we are trying to create this kind of situation where we encourage more airlines to come in.
Welcome back. We're getting you all the details on what's really been happening in Parliament as far as pollution is concerned. Now, there was an interesting take of the government of the day on pollution rankings from around the globe, placing Indian cities. Now, what really happens is that as per global rankings, Indian cities are worst placed. India, however, seems to be wanting to stick to its own rule book. The government has called global pollution rankings unofficial and set its own air norms. The government told Parliament today that the international air quality rankings from groups like IQ Air and even data sets linked to the World Health Organization are unofficial and not issued by any recognized authority. Responding to a question in Raj Sabha on India's position in global indices, Minister of State for Environment Kirti Vardhan Singh said the World Health Organization's air quality guidelines are advisory, not binding rules. He claimed that they are meant to help countries craft their own standards based on local geography and environmental conditions. He went on to mention India's own pollution rankings, including the annual Swachh Vayu Survekshan that ranks 130 Indian cities in the national ambient air quality standards for 12 pollutants. And joining us live right now is Anand Arya, environmentalist, watching this situation very closely. Thank you, sir, so much for your time. I'm wondering, why isn't the government wanting to be bound by what the WHO says, since India is very much a member state, and when these guidelines were set, India was party to these discussions. Now India says, listen, we have our own standards. What do you make of it, sir? How do you respond to what the government has now said?
You see, the government will find some excuse or the other for, explaining its complete inability to control, or rather, I should say, for its complete inaction in controlling the air quality in NCR and also in the other parts of the country. Now, very surprising. I've been listening to your broadcast, and I've been seeing some of the news on the internet. Where is the new standard? What is that new standard? What is the AQI standard by which the minister is saying that we have got our own and 130 cities? Of course, there are more than 130 cities with a much better air quality, and they are all located, majority of them are either in the hills or they are on the coast, where the air takes care of it. The whole thing, or the rain takes care of it. But coming down, can CAQM, which was launched with such a fanfare, can exactly tell me what is that target of AQI for Delhi in 2026, 27, 28 or 2030? It is
Anand Arya, actually the government's own standards, which is the NAAQS, is actually way lower than what the WHO says when what your PM 2.5 and your PM 10 levels should be. It's actually about 6 to 8 times higher, and that's the reason why So many Indian cities are failing that benchmark and are being cited to be the worst polluted cities. The government obviously is wanting to avoid this embarrassment and say, listen, we have our own guidelines, we have our own geographical location. Then why be a part of the World Health Organization to begin with?
Yeah. And then raise this saying that the AQI in Delhi will be or PM 2.5 or PM 10 or NS, whatever they want do it, will be in the region of 400, and then no city will ever be, polluted at all. I mean, what is this nonsense? Because CAQM does not even have their, document of policy on their website. I had to make efforts to get a copy of that.
Right.
And then why is it not being published in the newspapers that we will clean the air of Delhi or NCR or any particular city by a certain date? What is that date? I want to know. And what are they going to do in year 1, year 2, year 3, or month 1, month 2, month 3? I have written to the Supreme Court, which is monitoring, and says, the Chief Justice says that we will be monitoring it twice a month. Now, where is the accountability? Where is the punishment for the derelict official? I mean, it's so terrible, actually, that you can't even go out for a walk. You can't sit out on your terrace. And, I have given these suggestions that, in fact, I have shared with one of the persons who has the ear of the Chief Justice of India, especially on this air issue, a very senior advocate, that this is the format in which I want CAQM to publish that this is what we are going to do in the next 12 months.
Is this a government in denial then? What do you think about what they've said?
Yes, the government is in denial because they really haven't done it. And from your own platform, I think in the last 10 or 12 years, many times I have spoken on this issue.
My question is, when you follow WHO on every other guideline, including on COVID, on infectious diseases, on non-communicable diseases, then what stops you from following the WHO on these guidelines, which of course is for every other member state, not just for India? So if any other country like China have bad air, the WHO is going to point that out and say this doesn't mean the standards. It's not like they're singling us out or picking on us, isn't it?
No, it's not just a question of following either a WHO laid down standards or my own standards. What I'm saying is that we have an X target for the quality of the air. Okay. Now the question is, what are we going to do it? Are we delivering it? I don't care what standard they follow. It doesn't matter. We are members of the WHO. And every time, as you said very correctly, we quote WHO does this, WHO says this about India, about the vaccine and this and that and everything. So even if we have our own standards, whether they are lower or higher than that of WHO, I want accountability from the government that these are our targets. By this time, we will give you this quality of air. And how we will do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I've written it down. Now look at it. Every time, I mean, the people like us, the middle class people, they get blamed. Okay, your vehicle is polluting. Now, have they done a very, very simple thing of staggered working hours? A plan.
Okay, there are multiple solutions, but you have to be ready to look at those solutions, essentially, isn't it? The big question is, when you start to acknowledge that there is a problem, that really is the beginning of the process of finding solutions, isn't it, Anand Arya? But it seems like now that the government is indicating that, listen, the standards are very different from our reality, and that's the reason why we need to stick rather to what our benchmark is. It isn't an argument that really is cutting eyes with environmentalists, health experts.
No. I can't agree with you on this issue. The question is very simple. Fix a particular target. Fix a particular date. Let the public know on a regular basis through
Okay,
the
that
public
information should continue
that-
is what you're saying. I'm afraid we're really running out of time here. I'm going to thank you, Anand Arya, for joining in with your views on that. But we're discussing air pollution, but there was something else also that happened in Parliament. Now, when Parliament really needed a debate, it got smoke, quite literally. This is the latest controversy we're telling you about. The TMC MP Saugata Roy was smoking inside Parliament premises, violating the regulations. And then he remained defiant. He spoke about Delhi's AQI and all of that. But he continued to smoke, saying that there's nothing that can stop him from smoking outside Parliament, within the premises, essentially. Take a look.
I think it's important that
At a time when debates and discourse should be lighting up Parliament, it's cigarettes that are doing the talking. For the second day in a row, it was a TMC MP at the centre of a smoke storm. TMC MP Saugata Roy caught on camera smoking inside Parliament premises outside the historic Makardwar. Union Ministers Gajendra Singh Shekhawat and Giriraj Singh confronted the senior TMC leader, questioning how an elected MP could openly violate public smoking rules and put others' health at risk.
शेखावत जी ने कहा कि सार्वजनिक स्थल पर सिगरेट पीना मना है।
आप सार्वजनिक स्वास्थ्य को खतरा पहुंचा रहे हैं। दादा के
आपके स्वास्थ्य का खतरा है,
लेकिन हमारा भी स्वास्थ्य खतरे में डाल रहे हैं आप।
But Roy remained defiant, insisting that he can smoke in public. And in fact, he hit back, accusing BJP leaders of worsening Delhi's AQI.
हाउस के अंदर सिगरेट पीना मना है, हाउस के बाहर ये खुला जगह में सिगरेट पीने में कोई पाबंदी नहीं है। और बीजेपी जो आरोप लगाता, उन्हीं का सरकार के समय दिल्ली में पोल्यूशन सबसे ज्यादा है।
सर, देश भर में ई सिगरेट बैन हो चुकी है।
Meanwhile, BJP MP Anurag Thakur has raised a formal complaint with Speaker Om Birla a day after alleging that another TMC MP was seen using an e-cigarette inside the Lok Sabha chamber. Remember, e-cigarettes have been banned across India.
सर, देश भर में ई सिगरेट बैन हो चुकी है, क्या सदन में आपने अलाउ कर दी है?
नहीं, कोई माननीय सदस्य को कोई भी
सर, टीएमसी के सांसद पी रहे हैं सर।
कोई भी माननीय सदस्य कभी भी ऐसा कोई विषय मेरे पास आएगा तो निश्चित रूप से इस पर मैं निश्चित रूप से कार्रवाई करेंगे।
So what do the rules say? Smoking inside Parliament is strictly prohibited, and yes, public smoking laws apply to MPs too. As Delhi battles dangerous air, the optics of MPs breaking smoking laws inside Parliament couldn't be worse. When lawmakers turn lawbreakers, what precedent is being set for the public? With Shivani Sharma and Amit Bhardwaj in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, to tell our viewers, of course, as we know that smoking publicly has been banned in the country way back in 2008, and we had a lawmaker there smoking in Parliament premises. Lionel Messi is hours away from setting off a football frenzy across India. The GOAT touches down for a 3-day four-city spectacle. From Kolkata's massive preparations, a towering 70-foot statue in his honor, to high-voltage matches, charity galas, and a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's an extraordinary tour, unprecedented fanfare, and a nation ready to witness sporting history unfold as Messi rewrites India's football fever once again. Here's more.
India is gearing up for a footballing showdown of seismic proportions. Lionel Messi, the man worshipped by the world as the GOAT, is landing for a 3-day, four-city super tour that promises frenzy, fanfare, and unforgettable moments. Appropriately, it all begins in Kolkata, arguably India's most football-crazy city. From 9:30 in the morning on Saturday, the city of joy becomes a city of Messi. Meetings with Saurav Ganguly, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, and a star-studded friendly match, all ahead of a dramatic highlight. The unveiling of a 70-foot statue of Messi, the world's tallest tribute to the icon.
Messi is going to arrive here. He will be welcomed in a grand way as there is a program in the Vivekananda Yuva Bharati Kridangan Stadium of Kolkata, where CM Mamata Banerjee as well as former Indian cricket captain Saurav Ganguly and the Bollywood Badshah, the legend Shah Rukh Khan, will be present there to felicitate him, and also one of the exhibition match will be played. To get the essence and the flavor of Bengal, Messi will be welcomed in a manner like a Bengali or Bengal do.
तो हम लोग चाहते नहीं कोई अच्छा काम जो लोग हम लोग करते हैं कि मेसी का मूर्ति इनोग्रेशन में कोई खराब कुछ नहीं है। वो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो बोला है हम उनको बात मान लिया है और हम लोग का स्टैचू कल भी मेसी का शहर का आने का पहले हम लोग कल इनोग्रेशन स्टैचू करेगा।
After that, Messi jets to Hyderabad for a charged 7 versus 7 showdown at the Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium, with Chief Minister Revanth Reddy joining him, followed by a grand musical tribute. Next in Mumbai, he headlines a charity fashion show, auctions his 2022 World Cup memorabilia, and enjoys a Spanish music night featuring Luis Suarez. And finally, New Delhi, where Messi meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Arun Jaitley Stadium, marking the culmination of his landmark visit to India. Lionel Messi not just arriving, but captivating India once again. City by city, moment by moment. With Anirban Sinha Roy in Kolkata, Bureau Report, India Today.
Messi mania clearly all set to explode there. We will be getting you more on that story, that report and much more on our website. That's indiatoday.in. You can download the India Today app as well. That brings us to an end to this edition. To 5 Live News continues on the other side. Thank you for watching.
No, these are not scenes from a house party. These are images from Bengaluru's central prison. India Today is the first channel that exposed the rot in the resort jail. Our expose jolted the system, and now comes a sweeping crackdown. In recent raids at the prison, a large number of mobile phones, SIM cards, chargers, earphones, and sharp objects which can be used as weapons recovered. This has raised questions about serious security lapses in the prison. In another development, the jail got a new top cop in Alok Kumar, whose topmost priority is cleaning up the prison.
After India Today expose on illegal activities inside the prison and getting access to gadgets, the police continues the crackdown. And so far, from 26th of November till 9th of December, they have seized close to 67 mobile phones and close to 65,000 rupees and nearly 13 sharp objects inside the prison.
Superstar Darshan, who is lodged in jail, thanked his fans from prison and showed his support for his upcoming release, The Devil. These recent recoveries have stoked a massive political storm. The BJP has accused the Congress of turning jails into dance bars across Karnataka, while the Congress has dismissed all the allegations. This jail has been at the center of multiple controversies. But can the government stop inmates from enjoying VIP-like parties inside the high-security facility? With Sagai Raj in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
It is game over for Saurav and Gaurav Luthra. Cornered in Phuket, handcuffed, passports suspended, their flight from the law has finally collapsed. Their last lifeline, the anticipatory bail plea, extinguished. When the Luthras land in India, they will be taken straight to jail.
जानना चाहेंगे सर, जो सरकारी अफसर भी इस पूरे मामले में सस्पेंड हुए हैं, उन पर किस तरीके की जांच चल रही है?
जो सरकारी अधिकारी 3 लोगों को हमने सस्पेंड किया है, 2 लोग उसके इन्वेस्टिगेशन को कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, एक जो कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रहा है उनको बहुत ही जल्दी हम अरेस्ट करेंगे।
कौन है जो कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रहे?
सेक्रेटरी वन हु इज नॉट कोऑपरेटिंग, उनको हम अरेस्ट करेंगे।
पंचायत सेक्रेटरी?
यस, पंचायत सेक्रेटरी।
उनको अरेस्ट कर सकते हैं?
हाँ बिल्कुल, उसको करने, कल तक उन्हें कोऑपरेट नहीं किया तो उनको अरेस्ट करेंगे।
और ये लूथरा बंधुओं को कब तक लाया जाएगा सर गोवा?
वो तो विद इन 3-4 दिन के अंदर गोवा लेके आएंगे।
In court, their counsel claimed the brothers fear bodily harm to themselves and their families. They insisted they travel to Thailand for work and not to escape. Medical papers were shown citing Saurav's epilepsy. Seeking anticipatory bail, the Luthras said they would return to India regardless. So how did India corner the brothers? First, an Interpol blue corner notice. Then cancellation of both passports, rendering their stay in Thailand illegal. And finally, Thai authorities moved in and detained them. A night of celebration turned into a nightmare. 25 lives lost, families torn apart. And now, the long chase for justice is nearing its climax. Their escape is over. The courtroom battle begins. Bureau Report, India Today.
Sorry.
ये दोस्ती हम नहीं तोड़ेंगे, मुश्किलें आए मगर तेरा साथ ना छोड़ेंगे। तेरा हाथ मेरा हाथ, मेरा हाथ तेरा हाथ, कभी भी आजमाना। टैरिफ कोई लगाए, S400 ना रोक पाए अपना ये टकराएंगे, डील करते जाएंगे, धौंस में न आएंगे, चाहे जो जले। ये दोस्ती हम नहीं तोड़ेंगे, मुश्किलें आए मगर तेरा साथ ना छोड़ेंगे।
Co-powered by India First Life, promoted by Bank of Baroda. Generali Central Insurance.
Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching Super 6 here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nandagopal. Over the next 1 hour, as always, we'll get you the top stories of the day with our focus on the southern states. So what's coming up on the show this evening? We'll be focusing first on the Deepam controversy, as we have been through the week. Now the issue rocking Parliament, with BJP's Anurag Thakur raising the issue in the Lok Sabha, calling the DMK anti-Hindu, leading to disruption and ruckus in the House. We'll be getting you those excerpts, and also how the DMK government now has said there's no history whatsoever of the Deepam being lit at the Deepatun pillar, which is what the entire contention is about. We'll break that down for you. But also coming up on the show, we can't forget that today is Talaiva Day. Rajnikant turns 75. There have been celebrations across Tamil Nadu, I'd say across the country. And we're getting you the ultimate tribute. That's coming up at 6:30 this evening. Remember, Rajnikant's most iconic, my personal favorite, Padayappa, is back on screens today. Okay, so that's special tribute coming your way. But here are the top 10 headlines first. Pollution finally gets Parliament's attention. Rahul Gandhi's push for a discussion on air emergency gets government's thumbs up. Kiran Rijiju says time will be allotted to take up this matter. It's game over for the Goa club owners. Luthra brothers brought to Bangkok en route their deportation to India embassy to issue travel certificate after their passport was suspended. After the government's crackdown on Indigo, the airline appoints a chief aviation advisor to probe the mess. This after DGCA terminated 4 flight operation inspectors over the airline's recent spate of flight cancellations. The Indigo CEO has just appeared before the DGCA 4-member committee. Second, smoking showdown in Parliament in as many days after Anurag Thakur accused a TMC MP of smoking and using a vape inside the House. Another TMC MP caught smoking a cigarette in the Parliament complex. BJP objects. The TMC MP, Shogata Roy, seen with a cigarette in his hand, remains defiant, says there's nothing wrong with smoking outside the Parliament complex. The big Tamil Nadu Deepam controversy has reached Parliament's doors. Anurag Thakur of the BJP accuses DMK of anti-Hindu bias over the Madurai Deepam controversy. Over 50 judges oppose impeachment motion against High Court Judge Justice G.R. Swaminathan. No end to the power tussle in Karnataka. 2 breakfast meets have taken place to diffuse tensions, but it hasn't worked. The day after Chief Minister Siddaramaiah held a dinner meet with Ahinda legislators, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar convened a parallel dinner meeting with his close aides and more than 50 MLAs. Assam SIT files charge sheet in connection with singer Zubeen Garg's death case. 4 accused charged for murder, including Zubeen's manager, organizer of the festival, and his 2 bandmates. Lionel Messi is hours away from setting off a football frenzy across India for a 3-day 4-city spectacle. He's going to be in Kolkata, where there are massive preparations, a towering 70-foot statue in his honor, high-voltage matches, charity galas, even a meeting with Prime Minister Modi lined up. Superstar Rajinikanth turns 75, Tamil cinema's biggest icon, greeted by political leaders, film legends and fans across the world on his birthday. But as promised, let's begin with the latest updates on the Madurai Deepam controversy. No longer a political storm just in Tamil Nadu, but it's reached the national capital too, whether it's through the impeachment motion or, for that matter, now in the parliament as well. The DMK government is squaring off against the BJP, with, in fact, BJP's Anurag Thakur raising the issue in the Lok Sabha, calling the DMK anti-Hindu and saying that they've turned the state of Tamil Nadu into a symbol of anti-Sanatana Dharma. On the other hand, more than 50 judges have condemned the DMK's impeachment motion against Justice G.R. Swaminathan, who, remember, had ordered the lighting of the lamp on the Deepathoon pillar.
Tamil Nadu's Deepam flashpoint has now exploded into a full-blown national storm. What was a temple tradition at Thiruparankundaram has spiraled into one of state's most charged controversies.
Accusing officials of deliberately ignoring its
The storm hit Parliament's winter session. The BJP launched a blistering offensive accusing the DMK government of turning Tamil Nadu into a symbol of anti-Sanatan Dharma.
One state in India has become a symbol of anti-Sanatan Dharma. Their ministers are making statements. against Sanatan Dharma. They objected when Prime Minister was doing his duty for the Ram temple. Despite the court order, they are not allowed.
He also accused the DMK of being in contempt of the court.
The Madurai bench of Madras High Court came down strongly on the Tamil Nadu government, accusing officials of deliberately ignoring its order on lighting the Kartikai Deepam lamp at the Madurais. Hindus are lathi charged. Despite the court order, they are not allowed.
Day after DMK accused Madras High Court Judge Justice G.R. Swaminathan of bias and ideological alignment. More than 50 former judges and senior jurists have issued a statement backing the judge. They call the impeachment motion filed by DMK and allies weaponization of a constitutional process, and a brazen attempt to browbeat judges who don't align politically. The letter warns that such actions cut at the roots of democracy, intimidate the judiciary, target judges for their rulings, and ultimately undermine judicial independence. As devotees push to light the Kartikai Deepam and the DMK has challenged the Deepathoon itself in court today, the dispute is far from over. With elections nearing, it is rapidly becoming a major political flashpoint in Tamil Nadu. With Pramod Madhav, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, I'll bring in Anaga Keshav for a quick update on what's really playing out right now. Anaga is joining us live from Chennai. Anaga, what's the DMK strategy here? You know, they're in denial. They're saying that there's no historic record whatsoever of the lamp being lit at the Deepathoon. But now with this issue snowballing, reaching Parliament, the BJP upping the ante even inside the House in Parliament, what is the DMK's plan here? Because very clearly even the impeachment motion was just about optics. They knew full well that it won't really go through.
Well, in fact, the DMK says that, in fact, they're asking for solid supporting documents as to the stone pillar is actually a Deepathoon. The DMK is asking if before the year 1920, if it was really a customary practice to light a lamp on the Deepathoon. Because for the last 100 years, on the eve of Kartikai Deepam, the lamp has been lit at the Uchi Pellayar temple, which is at a lower peak. But now, why is it that all of a sudden few groups with vested interests are now asking for a lamp to be lit, that too near a dargah, is what the DMK is asking. And therefore, they've now denied permission, which happened on the eve of Kartikai Deepam on December 4th, to light a lamp near the stone pillar lamp, also known as Deepathoon, which is near the dargah. In fact, today there was a court hearing in the Madurai